I suppose it is more of a reminder and sort of getting us to rethink, if you like, our journey, reflection. I think that's important on every journey. We have some people here who have just finished studying, like Benji, for example, and he's reflecting, okay, what's my next step? Am I right, Benji? Reflection is critical in any operation. I see Brexit happening, or is it really? The reflection, are we doing the right thing? In every sector, companies are reflecting in terms of their progress, and their business, and their strategies, and so forth. And the question then comes to us, as a church, should we also be reflecting? Should we also be thinking, things are actually changing to a certain degree? That is to say, the way people think, that changes. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And if the way people think changes, I can't then approach them the way I would have done it 10 years ago, because they're thinking. And so the question then is there a cause? Because sometimes we can get a little discouraged along the journey because church doesn't seem to be working out. For example, we may ask a question, how many Scottish people do we have in our congregations, right? We'll ask that question, won't we? And anybody with the answer as to why we don't have too many? I'm talking new ones now. Anybody with an answer? Or at least a thought?
I think there are so many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One is, do they really know who we are and what our beliefs are?
Okay.
That it really, we can be comfortable to
Okay.
study.
All right. So if you take even that reason, it opens up so much, because the question would be why? Why not? Why don't they know?
I think it's because we don't go out and meet them where they are.
Okay.
That is my belief.
Yes.
If we go out and we say, well, look who I am, and you try to bring Jesus to them, but sometimes we are hesitant. We said, oh, well, they said, oh, Scotland is very hard, it's very difficult. I don't believe that at all. There is nothing too hard for God.
But there will be some people who tell you they go. People still don't come, right? Yes.
Do they really see value in our faith?
All right. Mm-hmm. So no, that's a good one. Yeah.
I think one of the reasons is we don't like spending time learning about the culture we're living in, the local culture.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't understand it. We're using different language.
And that was the comment of that man who said about the best way is to live in a mud hut with somebody and to
I
get to know
100%
them.
agree.
So if we think, we've gotten various responses and all are valuable, don't you think so?
Yeah.
But then it means there is need to reflect, don't you think? So there is no easy answer, definitely, right? Or strategy. But what gets us going? What keeps us, for example, getting up each day, still having fire in our bellies, saying, listen, I'm not giving up? What do we think?
Because it's a commission from God himself to go out, and that he will be with
So
us.
we have to revisit the root cause, isn't it? As to what is it? Is there something? So in other words, the question that is coming is this. Is there something that gives rise to our ability to unite on the one hand, unite in this kind of purpose? Or is there something that gives rise to our enthusiasm, to the great experience we have with others that we've had? In other words, that enthusiasm to share that experience. Is there something? Is there sort of a stimulus, if you please? Is there a root cause? And I firstly put unity because I want to connect that, because that's critical actually in our doing. So if you know, Benji will tell her, you sorry Benji, but I didn't tell him I would call on him, right? But Benji will say, there will be times on the journey of studying that you think, yeah, it's difficult. You know, the various components that you need to get to the end of the road is not always there. I don't know, he hasn't told me this specifically, but I would think there must be a point in time when he felt like, shall I continue this journey? Was there any such time?
Yeah.
Yeah, several, right? Anybody familiar with that? Shall I continue with this journey? Is it worth it, in other words?
Yes, sir.
Is it worth it? Same thing with church. Is it worth it? Is it, you know, why do we turn up on a Sabbath morning? And all of that. Is it really worth it? Okay, so let's recap something of the lesson. Talking about the root cause. In the lesson, there are 5 things that I picked out that is critical to our thinking and our moving forward. Speaking of unity. Foundation of unity exists in our common acceptance of Christ's death on our behalf. Is that reason enough?
Yes.
Is that a good reason?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think that's a good
necessary.
reason. It's a good reason for ourselves, and it's a good reason for us to stay with each other. Isn't that right? Because we have something common. Second, we are united through a threefold ministry of reconciliation. 1, that we are reconciled to God. 2, we're reconciled to each other. Do we believe that part? That we're reconciled to each other?
Should be.
It should be.
Yeah, yeah. Any enemies in here?
Yeah.
Put your hand up now and we can request somewhere a river or pass the river that can have a baptism pastor. And then the third part is that we are a corporate conduit for the reconciliation of the world to Christ. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in Corinthians, or 1 Corinthians, I think, we have the ministry of reconciliation, right?
Yeah.
Ministry. It's important. And then there's a practical unity. These are coming out of the lesson, right? And it has everything to do with us as church and reaching out to people. Because 1, if we don't get it together, if we don't recognize where we are together, we won't be moving together. Am I right?
Mhm.
And I reflect on this many times on my own journey. Seriously, why am I in Scotland? If I think back, I didn't ask to be here. I really didn't. I did not ask to be here. And I thought initially, no way. Scotland, Wales, Ireland, not on my radar. Absolutely 0 chance. First thing, the weather. And secondly, I'm not sure I fit in. But I'm here. And I'm thinking to myself, what's kept me here? This is what's kept me here. To be a corporate witness of the gospel of Jesus in our public lives. That when I unite with you, when I connect with you, together we demonstrate that. Fourthly, united in patience. This is coming out of the lesson. There's a reason I'm recapping it. Having tolerance for those who are sincere and conscientious. How many Scottish people do we know are actually sincere? But they are where they are thinking that they are right. Do we believe that?
Yes.
Yes.
Not only Scottish people also, but general. And maybe sometimes the way we think and reflect, we think that suddenly people are, we will go to them with this package and we will just give it to them and they will just receive it. Do you know what I mean? We do think that way sometimes, don't we? Let's be honest. And this is where we are going to be honest or not at all. Am I right? But patience here. And you know, these are scriptural. You would have, I assumed you would have gone through the lesson, so you would have seen where this came in and understood its context. Here's the last one that's critical. United in mission. Can you see it, by the way? United in mission. Now, Pastor touched on that, and I thought, here goes my presentation. And I want to read this part. As the disciples drew nearer to God and put aside their personal differences. Pastor did it for me. We already know the diversity in this room. The different nationalities, different cultures, different preferences. And preferences can be a significant obstacle. Don't you agree?
Yes.
But here it is. The disciples put away the personal differences. They were prepared by the Holy Spirit to become what? Fearless and bold witnesses of the resurrection of Jesus. And the reason I put this in bold and colored, it's not so colored there, is it? Fearless and bold is because it speaks to our ethos for the next 3 years. It's time to be what? Devoted, daring, decisive. That's captured in those words. Fearless and bold witnesses. Why do we need to be fearless and bold? Because it means getting outside of comfort zone. It means being prepared to be insulted. Now, I don't like insults, I can tell you. Vanna would have told you last night. I am perhaps the easiest person to be embarrassed. Some of you might disagree because you will say you are also. So we probably are equal in that area. Right? So I don't do things that's going to set me up for embarrassment. At least I try not to. So you know one of the things I really hate? Door to door.
She said it.
Yeah. I don't like it. I never liked it. All my life I still don't like it. Now people will agree, how can a pastor talk like that? Well, if I'm going to be honest, I might as well be honest, right? I don't like it. Going with book and giving it to people who might not be interested. And you know why I don't like it? Here, it's easier for me to do it in my country. But here, people look at me and I don't look like them and they don't want. They think I'm begging something. It's my experience. Yeah. That's been my experience. And because I know I'm not begging anything, I thought, you know, I really have something to give them that is good for them. But you know what? Even though I don't like it, I do it. And once I get past the first few minutes of embarrassment, I am okay. So Ivana and I went, and we thought, we're not going to bring the church on this one. We're just going to go and try it for ourselves. We gathered some books and we went up to East Kilbride. And the first person I went up to, no. And believe me, I was already, we had the children with us, and I'm thinking, shall I really let my children see people insult me like this? I got past it and I gave out. And Ivana was looking, she can't do it either. Then she took and she went on almost a kilometer walk around. And she came back. You do it.
Yes, sir.
Boldness. Boldness means getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes, sir.
To do something that you would not normally do. You're not comfortable with it. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
That's the idea. So, how much? By the way, somebody needs to help me with time, please. Because I have thought there. Because once I get going, you know. So, what's the idea then behind this? That's what I like, the idea with the General Conference initiative. And you know what that initiative is? We're bouncing off the lesson. It's a good lesson this week. Total member involvement. You know what that is? It's a united effort to bring the good news of Jesus to our communities. Isn't that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what it is. And that's what we just want in our reflection this weekend, to think, am I actually, am I actually contributing, I'm in the way of those at the back. Am I actually contributing to this? Using every personal, public, and institutional outreach ministry for the salvation of souls. In other words, what do you have that you will go to your grave with that somebody needs? And they will tell you that cemeteries are the richest places. A lot of technologies are in cemeteries. People die with the knowledge and never pass it on. I remember one guy, Jesus healed him. He was a demoniac. And following Jesus is what everybody wants, isn't it? And he wanted to do the same after Jesus healed him. And you know what Jesus said? There's a lesson in that. Don't follow me. You go.
Tell them what big things I've done for you.
And you know, it's interesting when you look at that story in the book of Mark, the pig herders told the people exactly what happened. And you know what the people did? When the pig herders told them, the people told Jesus, go away. They were afraid. The same guy who got healed went to the people to tell them the same thing. And they were amazed. See the difference? Same story, told by one who experienced it, had a different effect. Does that make sense? Same story. With emphasis on the greatest method that would give us greater success quantitatively and qualitatively. Christ's method. Pastor touched that one again. Christ's method. I'm sorry guys, but
No, it's alright.
I just need to...
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah? Christ's method. And what was his method? We touched it, so I can run through it fast. He mingled with people. He showed sympathy. He cared for their needs. He won their confidence. And he asked them, follow me. Right? There's this, this is the one I want to show. So I missed something. What I wanted to show you here is a statistics. It's on my phone there. It's on my phone. I just put it on my slide and then it crashed in my computer. Talking about meeting needs. Here's something that I came across this past week when I was at a meeting at the BUC office. Now, I don't know if you will see this, but this is something we were sharing. We were talking about evangelism and family life. The emphasis next year on families from the BUC. Influence of parents attending church on faith of children. Just for example. When only dad attends church, 55% of children remain faithful to God. Alright, well, when one parent attends church. When neither parents attend, when mom alone attends church, 15%. That's statistics here in UK. When no parent attend church, 6%. We're talking about retention. When both parents attend church, 72%. Now, I don't know where the statistics came from. I never verified the information. But you know what? It's very mind-boggling. And you have to ask the question, what are some of the root causes? Now, how would you know that? What the root causes are? How would we know? Do you think it is enough just to assume and say bad children, bad parents? How would we know? First, we got to mingle. We need to mingle. We need to be where they are. We need to show sympathy. You know, it's one thing to treat them as outcasts, it's another thing to treat them as human beings and as children of God, right? Do you agree so far?
Yeah.
Don't know if you had too much breakfast. And show that you care. There are some underlying needs why people are out. It's not because they're bad. There are underlying needs that we need to tap into. Get down to the bottom of. So, for us then, everything got shifted here. But you can take your Bible on this one. 1 Peter 4:10. It gives us something to think about. As each has received a gift, employ for one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. What is your gift that can connect with humanity where you are? What gift do you have as a young person, for example? Or an older person? What is it about you that can connect with somebody, that can relate to them at a level that having related to them, you can enhance their experience, enhance their life, give them something positive, change their course, direction, for example. And you know, sometimes we love to receive gifts, but we don't like to give. That's a human problem, isn't it? We are quite happy to receive gifts. But when it's our time to give, we become very stingy. It's a human problem. I'm not saying it's your problem. I'm saying it's a human problem. Can you relate to that though? Do you think it's true? Hello? Is it, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's one issue here.
Yes.
You know how many people have been given gifts but they don't know that they have gifts. So the identification of gifts is very important. You know, in order to, resolve somebody's issue or to meet somebody's need, you must have what we call identification. How do you know that person has needs of that? Somebody's needs might be different from others. So identification of the needs are very important.
Yes.
So
it brings the point, therefore, that okay, maybe there are some other needs, some developmental needs that are necessary. But you see, the point of the reflection is critical because it helps you to identify what needs to be identified so that we can solve what needs to be solved. And that's very important. And that's, I think, for church, that's what we need. We need to have those kind of discussions so that we can appropriately identify. Because you know what? It's not enough to do nothing. It's not enough to say we have no solution. Maybe with a little bit of discussion, we can come up with a solution because maybe we have it and don't recognize that we have it. And so, what is the cause then? If we think about our own personal lives, I think about myself, thinking, do I actually deserve to be here? Quite frankly, no. The wages of sin is what?
Yeah.
And do you know that I'm a sinner? Oh, you didn't know? You thought I was ready-made for ministry. We are sinners, isn't it? But you know the difference between mercy and grace is this. Mercy does not give you what you deserve. I deserve death. I deserve to be disconnected from God. So do you actually. But grace gives us what we don't deserve. And as God gave us grace, we ought also to seek out people to dispense to them such grace. That's meaningful for life. And so when we talk about what is the cause, Christ is the cause. His mission is our mission. I'm finishing now. His mission is our mission. And so, for the sake of Christ then, let us be devoted, let us be daring, let us be decisive. Let's take Scotland. Can we do it?
By God's grace.
Can we do it?
By God's grace,
His
yes.
grace is already there. Yes.
Mhm.
Can we do it?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
We can do it. We can do it. Shall we have a prayer? Lord